Welcome back to the Strong Opinion Hibs podcast. As always, I am Jack, and this is episode 55, or for all you Rangers fans out there, episode 1. Right, getting the Rangers dig in early on. And tonight it's just Calvin with me. Charlie's off gallivanting, so I hope he enjoys himself. He's down south for a wee while, doing an event at his old university. So hope Charlie enjoys himself there. So just Calvin tonight. How are you, Calvin?
I'm good, mate. That we tried for a wee bit before the cameras came on, and you caught me off guard with that one. The wee Rangers zombie dig there, so that was beautiful. Well played, mate. Top banter for you. So that was good. I'm doing all right. Just been at work and that today. It's been a fairly decent day. Kids and that were all right. And just plodded along, mate.
Yeah, good.
So I'm glad. Looking forward to the night. They'll get on the podcast, chatting a wee bit, seeing what you're thinking in that.
Absolutely, and for all the listeners, I'm good too. I was unfortunately didn't make it to Easter Road. I was helping out Edinburgh City women, obviously. My wee role there. Unfortunately, we lost to Renfrew away, but it's still good to continue my work with the club and continue getting experience. So, and plus it was good to have a wee chat with Rachel in the car over. Rachel Cunningham's a good lass, so it was good to talk to her in the car over. So, we'll just jump right into it. And of course, the only place to begin is the 0-0 draw with Celtic at Easter Road. A really impressive result, all things considering. So going into the game, Calvin, were you confident? Obviously, Celtic demoralised after getting put out of the Europa Conference League. I think they're getting at the Eurovision Song Contest now. After the Europa Conference League against Buda Glimt. So were you confident in the game, Calvin?
No, not really. I wouldn't say I was confident. I think Celtic are a well-oiled machine. I think they've been really good this year. I just think that Ange just completely sort of just came in, cleaned out all the rubbish that was there and set new standards. And I feel like they're a very, very, very good team. They're a very fast team. They're a very sort of electrifying team. Like they'll pass you to death, and they want to. It's almost like they're not happy with a 1-0. It's like if they don't win 3 or 4-0, then they've not won. Like I feel like that's the sort of vibe Celtic give me. They want to score and they want to get in your face, really aggressive. And I just thought with the amount of players we had out, first team players and that, I thought this was a real opportunity for Celtic to take something from the game, from the fixture. And I thought that Hibs would have had to have a near enough perfect inch perfect performance to get anything from the game. So I wasn't feeling too confident. What about yourself, mate?
I'm more or less the same as you. I think I had a bit, obviously I went 1-0 in the score prediction, but that's always me. I'm always a happy clapper, as they call them. I'm always sort of optimistic and hoping for the best out of these sorts of games. But I thought, you know what? Celtic have shown that they can slip up, especially with Buda Glimt, so I was hoping, that sort of demoralising defeat for Celtic, hopefully we can sort of use that in our favour. And we sort of did, to be fair. I think we did use that in our favour. A really inspired performance from us, all things considered, like I was saying. And from what I've seen on the highlights anyway, especially in the defence, which we'll sort of touch on later. But we'll move on. And, reaction to the lineup, obviously quite a depleted squad. 10 players out, or 10 key players out due to injuries. So we were obviously a few light on the bench, a few of the development squad lads being brought in as well. So what was your reaction to the lineup, Calvin, when you saw it? Obviously, I think, just to sort of give my view on it first, I think it was as good as it could have been, starting 11-wise, but I do think we were really light on the bench with quite a few of the development squad lads having to be brought in, including the boy we signed from Standard Liège as well. So it's interesting. I think Maloney's going to have to do that more often. Now that we've obviously got Nisbet out injured as well, so we're up to 11. Sort of what our first team key players out injured now.
Yeah, I think I'm very much the same as you, mate. I seen the lineup, and the only one that sort of jumped out at me was the fact Dre Wright was starting over Chris Muller. I just don't think Muller's really put a foot wrong since he's joined. I think he's looked lively every time he's came on. He's looked committed. He looks like he definitely wants to be there. So I was a bit surprised that Dre Wright got the nod over him. However, I think, like you said, pretty much with injuries, we had pretty much what you would have went for. I thought he might have maybe tried to play Doidge up front just for a wee bit of hold-up play. I thought he might have dropped Campbell. But no, he stuck with it. And like you said, the bench was very, very sparse. Very, very sparse. So I knew if we didn't we didn't get anything from the 11 that were on the pitch, then it was going to be a long afternoon for us.
Yeah, and I think that was interesting for me. I looked at it and thought, Wise Wright starting over Mueller, but Sean Maloney's the manager, he makes the decisions. I think it was a bit of a strange one, but you're not going to argue it. Actually, as we'll touch on later, Dre actually had an all right game. I don't think he was that bad.
No,
from what I've seen,
I agree with you.
So we'll move on, and like we've been saying already, a really strong performance from Hibs, especially at the back. But one thing I picked up on, and this is quite concerning with the injury concerns already have it, is Nisbet limping off. A lot of people saying that he came out the stadium on crutches as well. So is that worrying for us, Calvin, that a player like Nisbet is coming off in crutches, given how sparse the squad is already? Obviously, Melkerson has picked up a bug as well, apparently, so he can't play and might not be able to play on Wednesday. So is that worrying that Nisbet got such a difficult injury in the game?
It's worrying in terms of him probably being our best striker, and it's worrying in terms of us thinking, right, where are the goals going to come from, especially because the league is so tight and every point is really matters. And the fact we managed to take a point from Celtic has put us in good stead going forward. And we've got Dundee on tomorrow night, Wednesday night, where we should really beat them. So that's another 3 points that will shoot us even further up and almost start to put the bricks in place to cement fourth place. But I just feel like with Nisbet out, it's like we've given ourselves more to do. I think he's probably going to have to go with Doidge for quite a while. Doidge is probably going to have to be the main striker. I think he'll probably inject Mueller into the squad more with Dre Wright. Both of them playing. I think Mueller might have more of an attacking role. Because I don't think Maloney will be willing to dip into the academy. I don't think he'll do it. I don't think we'll see the likes of Josh O'Connor or Connor Young. I don't think we'll see those boys from the development squad take that step up, especially on they might make the bench, but I don't think they'll make the first team if this injury is really serious for Nisbet. But I don't think those boys will be starting. I think Maloney will try and make the most of the squad he's got there. However, I do know in his first interview when he came, he said when he was assessing the squad, he'd have to have a look about him first before he started going into the transfer market. So he's going to look at the development squad. So you might see those names thrown about online and things, but I'm not sure they'll maybe be integrated as quickly as we think. However, I think it's a good chance for Melkerson. If he gets the opportunity, to be sort of perhaps behind Doidge as the second main striker. But what we've heard from Ranger Hot Dog and other people as well is that he's not going to be happy just to sit there. And I think I get the impression that Melkerson is probably just quite frustrated with the way his Hibs career's started as well. I think he would have probably liked to have came in and been competing straight away, or came in and perhaps been a contender or seen at least a debut. So I think once he gets rid of this bug and things like that, he has got a point to prove, and I think he'll be looking to do that. So it might spur him on. Who knows? It might come good, but no, Nisbet's going to be a big miss to us, especially with this system and how much hold-up play does. And again, you worry where the goals are coming from.
Yeah, I think that is going to be a problem now when Nisbet out. But we'll sort of move on. And another player that stood out to me again watching the highlights, and a player that I've not been overly. I'd say overly complimentary about in the past couple of weeks has been Matt Macy. I thought he made some big saves in the game to keep us in it at times. So what were your thoughts on Big Matt, Calvin?
Still not convinced. I just think he made some big saves and he made some really good saves, and credit to him. But the guy's his distribution at times put us under a lot of pressure as well. Just gave the ball straight back to Celtic 2 or 3 times. The ball came to him and he tried to clean it, and it's going out for throw-ins within our half. And it ultimately just gives possession back to them, and it just looks like he's a bit nervous at times. However, he is a good shot stopper, so I know he's got other aspects of his games that are good quality. I feel like he done all right. I feel like there was one point where he went down injured, and it looked like Dabrowski was coming on. And I felt sorry for Kevin, because you could see, he was at the side of the pitch and he was getting ready and all that. And he got a good reception for the fans. and unfortunately he never got to come on. But no, I thought Macy was all right. He dealt with a lot of crosses and that really well. He could be a wee bit smarter with his timing and decision making could be a wee bit better. I mean, I'm not a goalie, so I'm not really qualified to comment on this. So I just said there's times where like he's a crosses came in and he's caught it and he's fell on the ball, and it's just like didn't he be doing that like 30 minutes into the game? Like kind of like there's a pass on, like get the ball out as quick as you can, like get it to the wing backs and try and get forward. And then late in the game he was throwing it, trying to get us on the attack rather than like keeping a HUD at it. It's like no, I'll do it. It's like the 84th minute, like just keep a HUD of the ball. But no, he done well all round. I just think there's still got aspects of his game he can work on. But no complaints. I think he's decent, really decent. It is decent, as Mr. Joe Hart says.
Yeah, well, I think I was listening to the game on the car through on the radio with Rachel, and like I was saying to her, you know, when Dabrowski was warming up, or when the commentators on Sports Sound said that Dabrowski was warming up, I was really hoping that he was going to get on and get again. It would have been a big game for him to step up and again prove himself. But you know, Macy got up, and fair play to Macy. I think he did make. I think it was one big save. I think it was from. I can't remember. It might have been from Kyogo or one of the Japanese players.
Maeda.
Maeda, that's it. And he made a big save. And like obviously, I didn't get the visual on it because I was listening on the radio. But obviously, Bonner, who you've got to remember, he's a big legendary goalkeeper, especially, and he's a Celtic legend as well. Was sitting there saying, you know, that's one of the best saves I've seen. Now, saying a keeper that is a Celtic legend saying that about Matt Macy, you know, obviously you've got to listen to him. So I think that is good that Macy has done that, because I think he has got a lot to prove. As I'll say it, I'll hold up my hands and say I thought he had a good game and he deserved to keep the clean sheet. Because, and I've not been complimentary about Macy. I think I've said we've needed a new goalkeeper, or I've said Dabrowski should be given more chance, but Macy proved that as to why he's starting. And what I've just got to say to him is keep consistent, keep having games like that, Matt, because that's why you'll prove the supporters wrong. Because I've certainly been proved wrong. I love it when players prove me wrong as well. So we'll move on and talking about Mr. DEEEEEECENT himself. A lot of, and I'm going to use a technical term, a lot of fannying about from Celtic at the back. And I think we could have been putting more pressure on them. You know, Celtic were, Hart would pass it out to Carter Vickers and Carter Vickers would pass it back, and then they'd start mucking about with it. And surely if you put pressure on them in that situation, they're going to mess up. That surely one pass will go astray and then you're in, because Joe Hart wasn't even standing in his goal. So Calvin, do you think we maybe should have been, when Celtic were in those situations, do you think we should have maybe been pressuring them, or do you think we gave them too much respect in that situation?
I think it was just sort of managing the game. I do feel that there was times where, well, there's one particular time where they did have it at the back, Celtic, and we did press them really high, and you can see it. Hibs have put a clip about that, and we were pressing them really, really high, and you know, putting them under a bit of pressure. They did make a mistake, and I feel like with the depleted squad that we had, I felt like that might have been quite a big ask for us to do for 90 minutes. But I think we can pick and choose our timings, and I think we almost got away with what we almost, you know, it almost paid off for us on that particular occasion. But no, I would think the opposite. It was quite apparent the opposite was happening. Is like the minute we had it, like for a goal kick, like Celtic players were like at the edge of our 18-yard box. Like they weren't backing off like 25, 30 yards out. They were at the edge of our 18-yard box. And the minute like we done a pass at, they were right on us the whole time. Like their press was intense. It was really, really intense. And I think the way we as a squad dealt with it was really, really good. And I think, well, like you say, like we tried to mimic it as well, because we done it to them that once and it did pay off. But I think at that point of the match, Celtic were maybe more frightened not to lose the match. So I think they were just panic stations a wee bit, where if they'd probably just remained calm, they'd have probably been all right with that particular incident. But no, I think we done probably as well as we could have in terms of pressing with the number of bodies we had filling in that for jersey numbers, mate.
Yeah, 100%. And also, just one thing I'd like to touch on is Jasper, deservedly player of the match. He was immense. I mean, again, watching the highlights, I think, you know, there was times he was picking up at the centre circle and just bombing it right down the wing, and really putting the Celtic defence on toast. So Jasper, what was he your player of the match? Did Jenky deserve that? And do you think that's him showing how much of a good player he really is? And I think, you know, he seemed to me like a bit of a panic signing. Obviously, we got him just right on deadline day, right towards the end of deadline day. So Jenky's coming really good now, and are you hopeful for what he could provide to us?
Yeah, I think he's a confident player. I think he's a really good player. He's a confident player. He definitely. The one thing I like about Jasper, and something I noticed watching him yesterday, was he doesn't care who the opposition is. Like, he will play his own game, and he enjoys playing football. That you can tell he just loves playing football. Like, he's not scared. Like, if he's playing Celtic, like, he's not intimidated by their away fans. He's not intimidated by like how tall and physical that Carter Vickers is, because he's an absolute tank, man. And he fouled Jasper all day long, but it didn't put Jasper off. Like, he still got on the ball and still tried to make things happen, which I thought was really impressive. So yeah, Jasper, really confident, really sulky, really good with his feet, and he got us into a lot of dangerous positions. But as I said, my main takeaway from sort of Jasper in terms of getting man of the match was I thought he had a really good first half, and I feel like he faded out a little bit. He faded out a little bit towards the end, but no, he was fantastic the whole game in terms of like not hiding. Like, he wanted the ball, he wanted to be involved, he wanted to make things happen. Like, he just wasn't put off by the opposition at all, which I thought was really, really good. I was really impressed with that by him. Really impressed. You can tell he's got a lot to show, and he's a really skillful player.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's and that point you made about him playing his own game. He doesn't care. You'll get a lot of players that'll maybe be a bit cautious against Rangers or Celtic. They're a bit like, oh, it's Rangers and Celtic. I think he's come up and he's just went, you know what? I'm going to play my game again. It doesn't matter whether it's Ross County, St Mirren, Rangers, Celtic. He just plays the way he wants to play, and that's what we need. We need a player like that that's not afraid of the old firm, that just wants to get stuck in. And I did say he'd be the player that stand out against Celtic. And I guess like I have a crystal ball, You know, every time I see a player's got to stand out against a team, they do it. So, Sean Maloney, if you want some advice on team selection, you know where to find me.
Exactly.
But just before we sort of move on to the sort of wrapping up of this one, Big Ange said in his post-match interview that Celtic strolled the game. What are your thoughts on this, Calvin? I think it was an extremely arrogant thing to say from Ange Postecoglou, and usually he's quite a likeable guy, but I thought it was quite an arrogant and disrespectful thing to say, considering that we gave them a hard time. We did give them a hard time.
Yeah, I think we, to be honest with you, I think Celtic done everything yesterday except from score. I thought a lot of my mates are Celtic fans, and they've said that Celtic were miles off it and that. Like, I don't think they were. I think Celtic played a good game, and I think it was almost a typical game where, like, you could see them nicking it, you could see them scoring, and just nipping in there and taking 3 points. I think a draw was a fair result. I mean, I don't think Hibs done enough to win it. I think we had flashes, like a few chances that flashed across the box and all of that. But the first half, Celtic put a lot of dangerous balls into our box, and like we were able to deal with them and clear them. But I mean, it's a foot away from going in the back of the net. Like, I do feel like Celtic, as much as Hibs, I think Hibs matched them. Like, it's funny because I was looking at it and I was sitting in the stand and I was like, do you know what? This is probably the best you could have hoped for, like a 0-0 at home with Celtic. But like, in the past, we've had teams that would have really taken it to Celtic, like the Canberra and McLaren team, where we beat them 2-0 at Easter Road. Like, I think that was a better Celtic team than the Celtic team we're seeing now. However, I do think the intensity that Celtic play, they play in a much different way now, like a different sort of style of football. I do feel like Celtic probably did dominate the match. I feel like if there was someone that looked like scoring, it was got to be Celtic. In my opinion, I do think that. I think Hibs matched them, but I don't think Hibs outshone them. I think that, you know, 0-0 was probably a fair result. I just feel like Celtic done everything except for put the ball in the back of the net. And the reason I think they didn't put the ball in the back of the net, it wasn't because they had chance after chance after chance after chance. It was because Hibs actually played a really, really good defensive match. Like, we did match them, and we did, you know, step in at times and take control of. We took control of aspects of the game, and this is where I think Maloney's tactics of possession-based football come in really well. it works really well against Celtic at home, and it makes it look really good. Like when we got the ball, like, there was an instant where like we had it in the midfield, and there was like 3 Celtic players around us, and we pass, and it's back at Macy, and he's got it at his feet, and then he passes it out wide, and we start again. It's like we're really good at keeping possession and working with the possession we have, but where I think that's counterintuitive is when we're against Livingston at home and we're pass, and no end product. It looks good against Celtic because Celtic are a very good team. And again, yesterday there was no end product. There was one chance where Doig looked like he'd scored, but other than that, no, I certainly don't think Hibs dominated the game anyway. I think Hibs were in the match, but I don't think they dominated it. And I might get a few powers for that, but I don't know. Just the way I seen it, I don't think we'd done enough to win the match, to be honest with you.
Like I said, I think for me, I completely agree with what you're saying. I just don't think it's a particularly good thing for a manager to say. I think a manager shouldn't be arrogant like that, especially when you've just been held to a 0-0 draw by a team that has 10 key players missing, and had to really sort of cobble together a bench as well. So I think it was a silly thing for Ange to say. I think we did frustrate Celtic. As you said, I think that's where Maloney's style of football really comes into the fore against teams like Celtic that don't like to be agitated. You notice that Celtic team really do not like having their game plan upset. We've seen the extreme of that against Bodo Glimt, where Celtic didn't get to play their game, and that was it. They sort of collapsed. I do think we need an end product to it, though, and I've said it so many times. We do need an end product to what we're doing. We're playing good football. We are playing really good football, but we need to have that end product. So, well, just before we move on to Charlie sent in some points for us, but just before we move on to that, we'll do 3 players that stood out to us in the game. Calvin, your 3 players that stood out to you, shoot.
The first player that stood out to me, I think Cadden obviously had a good game. He's been playing really, really well. I think that I thought Rocky played pretty well. Rocky was really solid at the back. Like, for me, it looks like he's got a mistake in him. Like, it does look like he's got that in his game. Looks like he's partial to a wee mistake. I do think that he was impressive, though, at times. Like, he really, really, took control of some situations where it looked like we were in a spot of bother. And there's I think Hibs have put a wee highlight reel out of him or something like that. I've seen someone post it on Twitter where he'd done a few sulky moves as well, and he looked really, really good. He looked pretty class. So no, I think that was really good. I think he was good again. I like that type of player. I like Rocky. I think he's really good. So him, Cadam, probably say put him on the spot here, mate. It's kind of hard to single focus as well because everybody was really good. Everybody was genuinely really good. Like everybody done their job, and that's why we got the result we got. I think the last one's probably Porteous as well. I think with the week Porteous had in terms of the news and that broke out, I still think that he had a really good game. I think he strolled it. He's a very clever player. He's a Scott Brown type character. He's one of those ones where, like, see if he's on your team, you love him, but see if he's on the opposite, if he's in opposition to you, you hate him. The Celtic fans are doing that too, because I was kind of looking at him and I was thinking, like, wonder if he would be a Celtic captain in the future or something like that, if they look at him, because Ken, he's a good player, he hates the Huns and so forth, eh? And I just thought to myself, I wonder if he would get recognition for them, but he was winding them up as well. There was times where, like, it's quite often yesterday, the refereeing was poor, and there was 2 balls on the pitch at one point, and the ball, Celtic were breaking with the ball, and there was a ball next to Porteous, and he knew fine well that wasn't the ball we were playing with, and he just picked it up and was looking at it like that, as if to be like, what ball we playing with, like, to try to get the game stopped. And they were getting on pelleters, like, just clever wee things like that I like about Porteous, and I think that's the sort of bite that we've needed in this team. Like, we've missed that. We've been pushovers quite a lot, I think. And I just thought that was really, really good to see that from him yesterday. I really like that.
Yeah.
Getting a bit nasty and playing a bit rough, I like that.
No, that's what definitely. I do like that as well. Matt, 3 players that stood out to me. First of all, I'm going to say Josh Campbell. I think Josh Campbell had from what I've seen on the highlights and from what obviously like other people have been saying as well, I think Josh Campbell had a good game. Obviously, again, another player I'm not often complimentary about. I think Josh really stepped up to the plate against Celtic. I think because he was playing in that sort of more defensive role in midfield, he was more comfortable there. Obviously, you got to remember he started off as a centre half in the academy, so he's maybe more comfortable in that sort of role further back. Sort of in the role that we sort of used to play Gogic in. I sort of thought he was in that sort of position.
Yeah.
I think he looked good, and he put in some good tackles and was trying to really sort of get things going in the engine room there. So fair play to him. So I thought Josh turned it around, and I just hope that we see more of that out of him. Maybe that now that Maloney's going to play him in that position, he might come into his own a bit more. So yeah, I think Josh Campbell for me. Dre Wright as well stood out to me again. I think Dr. Dre, a lot of people weren't happy to see him start, but he came on, had a decent game. So for me, I think Dr. Dre definitely, and then I've got to say Jasper, deservedly player of the match. I mean,
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
The guy's just, he's unreal. He's unreal, and you can tell he's a special player. And I think we've got the option to get him permanently as well. So hopefully we can get that over the lines. I think Jasper's outstanding. He's got so much to offer us. I think we're seeing little bits of what Jasper can do. I think we're going to see more and more and more as his time at Hibs goes on. So hopefully that comes through. But yeah, Jasper was brilliant, deservedly player of the match. So those are my three players that stood out to me: Josh Campbell, Dre Wright, and Sylvester Jasper. So we'll move on to Charlie's points. Obviously, because Charlie couldn't join us, he has sent in some points of discussion. So we'll very briefly go through and we'll say whether we agree or disagree with Charlie's points. So first of all, is Campbell a better CDM than a centre mid? Calvin, you're very briefly, do you agree or disagree, and a wee reason why?
I think I don't want to jump the gun and say I agree. I feel like yesterday there's a lot of people raving about him online because he had a decent game. Like it was a decent game. It was a decent game. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I felt like there was a lot of times where he gave possession away really cheaply. But I think he's definitely more of a defensive mid than he is a creative midfielder. He's definitely not a creative midfielder in terms of like making things happen, like creating things. And I don't think he's an attacking midfielder. I think probably if you had to guess, he'd be a defensive one. So yeah, I would say he's probably a better defensive midfielder. But I think there's probably better defensive midfielders out there that we have, like a Marvin Bartley type of character. Like I mean, he's good at getting rid of the ball, but he's not very strong in terms of like standing up and being counted for. I don't feel personally. So
yeah. I think I've got to say I agree with Charlie there. I think he is a better CDM, and while he did still make mistakes and gave the ball away sometimes, I think he looks a lot more comfortable in that area of the park. I think that's where his game is best suited to as well. So I do agree with Charlie there. So Charlie's next point is Dre Wright. Does he have something to offer to the team? And Charlie thought he was class. So Calvin, thoughts on that?
I think it's funny. Charlie's changed his tune this week. I think he was one of the boo boys last week. I'm calling him out.
Certainly was. It was right in my ear. So yeah.
First touch of Dre Wright last week, he was getting on pelters. But no, I think he's obviously got something to offer the club, because it means we've seen something in him, and he was St Johnstone's best player. But it's the same old story. I mean, we sign players for the teams around us, like we should be doing, like feeder clubs. Like we should be buying Kilmarnock's best player. We should be buying Motherwell's best player. Teams like that you'd expect. I mean, Hearts have done it for years as well. Like I always use this example on the podcast, but my mate used to say, "Oh, Hearts signed John Sutton and he was hopeless, and he went back to Motherwell and he was brilliant." Like it's the same thing with Dre Wright. I mean, look at Paul Heffernan when we signed Heffernan. Like he was a fantastic one, mate. He was a fantastic signing, but he was hopeless when he played. So yeah, I do think he's got something to show, but hopefully he can show it soon.
Yeah, and Charlie's last point was: does our bench prove that the January window wasn't as good as people believe it is? And I'm sorry, just before I think I've already sort of said about Dre. I think he does offer something. Obviously, I think Maloney was a clean slate for him. He wiped the slate clean, and I think he's been trying to prove himself. And I think fair play to him. I think from what I saw in the highlights and from what I heard on the radio, he had a decent enough game. I think Dre has got something to offer to the team. I don't think he's a starter. I think he is more of a sort of sub now. But I agree with you that you take a risk. If you look at the other teams in the division, you want to be signing their best players, obviously, because they've done well and they've proven themselves. But then it is taking a risk because maybe they can't quite step up to our level. When you look at Gogic, for example, he was one of Hamilton's best players that season, and I don't think Gogic really sort of stepped up to the mark. I don't
Yeah, I
think he
get
was at
that.
Hibs level, came what I mean. So it is a risk, but I think Gray does have something to offer to the team, definitely. And I think I'm impressed with him. He's had those games like Dundee United away on Boxing Day, and yeah, yesterday was one of them again. So I do think Gray has something. So very quickly, Calvin, moving on to Charlie's last point. I think our bench proves that the January window wasn't as good as people believe it was.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I believe that, mate. I believe that it's not as good as people thought it was. I think, yeah, squad depth. The squad depth's it's been an issue, not just this season but last season as well. Like that's why I feel a bit sorry for Jack Ross. Like Jack Ross came, his squad was really thin as well. So it's the same issues.
Yeah, 100%. I think I've got to agree with that as well. I think it is a thin squad, and we've got a lot of building for the future done, but unfortunately, the future isn't now, and we need to focus on the here and now with the position we're in. And I think because of these injuries, you're going to see lads like Runar Hauge, like the lad we signed from Standard Liège, I think like the American lad as well, that we're going to be seeing them, I think, getting chucked into the deep end pretty soon because we need them. I think Runar Hauge, to be honest, I think Runar Hauge, if he does get his chance, which I think inevitably it's coming with the injuries we've got, if Runar Hauge does get his chance, he might be the next Haaland. Instead of maybe Melkerson was the pretender, maybe it's really Runar Hauge we should have been watching. Instead of Melkerson was a pretender to the crown. It's really Runar Hauge that's the star man. So we'll just have to see. But that was all our reactions and points from our 0-0 draw against Celtic. Now we're going to move on to our next game, the men's next game, which is away to Dundee, or as some people like to call them, Scumdee, if you're that way inclined. We're up to Dundee, a beautiful city, not to go and play Dundee at Dens Park. So they're struggling quite badly, Calvin. So are you confident heading into the game? It's a game we should win, considering that McGee's come in and we've that's not been the answer, and Dundee are looking very shaky right now. I think relegation's a foregone conclusion for them.
Yeah, I think shipping 4 goals to Livingston says a lot, because I think that's probably a game that Dundee might have looked at and thought they could have won. Don't get me wrong, I think Dundee's a game that they'll look at us and probably think they could win. I just feel like it's a really good opportunity. Here's the reasons why I feel like we might not win. Number one, they've just been scudded 4-0. Number two, the fact that it's another great opportunity for us to try and cement 4th place. So with those two things up for grabs, or those 2 points, I feel like we probably will struggle. Especially with a lot, I feel like we will win the game, but it won't be as easy as everyone thinks. Like they know that they're going to be really, really tough and compact and hard to beat. That's not really the style of football we're good at playing against. We're good at playing against teams that open up against us and want to come and have a go. Like that's when we play our best football, when teams come for a game. But when teams come in and they sit back, we find it very hard to break down. And especially when we've not got that end product at the moment, I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, definitely. I think I actually am confident, mate, and I'll tell you why. Because I think Dundee are just so low on morale right now. They've got a new manager that maybe wasn't the most inspirational choice of a manager, to be honest. All Maloney needs to do is shove a phone in his face, and that'll be it. He'll be too angry to want to play any sort of football and do any tactics. So that'll be it. The whole squad will be done if you shove a phone in McGee's face. He'll be done. He'll run away crying. So yeah, no, but see, in all seriousness, I am confident because I think this Dundee team's so demoralised right now. And I mean, shipping 4 goals to Livy for them was a bad one. I think that was a winnable game for them. As you said, I think that was a winnable game for them. The games against them have been tight this season. Obviously, we won thanks to that hilarious own goal at Easter Road when Sir David Gray's Green and White Army, obviously, when David Gray was interim manager before Maloney came in last year. And then also we had the 2-2 draw at the start of the season as well, which was a sort of frustrating one. So yeah, but I am confident, and even if it is a tight game, I think we'll still win because Dundee are they're in a mess right now. You know, they're not
Aye.
like Ross County or St Johnstone, where they're still quite well organised and they have got like semi-competent managers. I think McGee's not a competent manager. He's proved in the past that he's not a great tactical mind. And also Dundee have just got too many problems in their squad as well. Too many older players, too many sort of championship standard players as well. So I do think that we should go there and beat them. Having said that, I think we need to be more direct. We need to do what we did against Ross County, which is not be afraid to sort of take pops from outside the box and really just sort of focus on
Absolutely, aye, absolutely. That's
running
the
at
key,
them,
mate. That is the
just
key.
running at them and being direct instead of passing it about. Because Dundee will just sit and defend. We know that. We've seen that again. The twice they've played them this season, that's what they've done. They've sat in and defended, and that's what they've done against most teams. And it's got them results out of some games as well. So, sort of talk about the lineup, Calvin. With so many players missing, how do you see us setting up?
Exact same as Saturday there. Probably, I think Nisbet will step out, and I think Mueller will step in, and they might try and play Mueller through the middle, maybe a wee bit.
They
like
could,
we
because
used to
he
do
can
for a
play in
while.
that position. He can play as a sort of attacking
Yeah,
midfielder, sort of in behind the striker. So,
could be a 4-6-0.
well, you never know. You never know. I think, yeah, it's going to be the same lineup. I could see a few more of the development lads coming on the bench. I'd like to see Runar Hauge come onto the bench, actually, seriously. I really think Runar Hauge, I'd like to see him sort of be given the opportunity, even if it is just on the bench. I'd like to
Right.
see Melkerson, again, even if it's just on the bench, and him come on and maybe get up some game time and make a debut.
Thing
So
is, mate,
that's it for me, lineup-wise.
it'll be
So
a cold Wednesday night in Dundee. Someone will need to give Runa a proper pair of gloves.
he'll be fine. Oh, Christ, he's from Norway. Come on, Norway makes Dundee seem
Someone will
warm,
need to
mate.
give him a proper pair of gloves. Remember, he had the hole in his glove.
Yeah, but still, he's Norwegian, so he should be used to it. Doesn't matter. He doesn't need gloves. He's Norwegian. Just Dundee will
Fair
probably be
enough.
like going to a tropical island for them temperature-wise. So yeah, I think Runar Hauge, I'd like to see him get a chance. Melkerson, if he's past the wee bug that he's got, hopefully he can get a chance as well. So very briefly, mate, what's your score predictions for Wednesday night?
2-0 Hibs.
Right, I'm going to say 2-1 Hibs. I think
Right.
2-1 Hibs. I think Dundee will probably score. I don't know why I think that, but I think they do. They have got some quality up front. They have got sort of wee glimpses of that. So I do think they will score.
Well,
But I think
they've
we'll do
lost.
enough to outscore them. I think what it could be is we'll be 2-0 up and they'll get one back and sort of make it nervy
Could
for
be.
us. So I think 2-1 Hibs. So we'll move on to our last little segment today before we have the quiz, which is the Hibs women. Obviously, Hibs women were away to Glasgow City, travelling along the M8 to face their old rivals in the Scottish El Clasico. So, Calvin, what are you confident heading into this game?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I think it was a bit of a free hit. I feel like the women, I predicted a 1-0 win for Hibs, and I was almost right. I just feel like they gave a really good account of themselves. I feel like Glasgow City, as we know, are a very good team. I feel like Hibs are a bit. I feel like we are where we are, and I think that's as best as we can do is fourth place. And I feel like anything above that or any results above that, I think it's quite cruel because if you look at the results, it's like we're so close, like, but yet still so far. So it's like 1-1 against Celtic, and then it's like getting beat off of Celtic, but like it's never a pumping. It's always only like one goal in it. And it's like Glasgow City. I know they beat Arsenal last time, but that was really close up until the last 10 minutes there. But it's always like so close yet so far. Like we're just beat by one goal, or we fight them real close and we lose at the end. It's quite a shame. I think it's quite a shame. But no, I think I know people don't like the term free hit in football, but I feel like it was a bit of a free hit.
Yeah, I think with how much Rangers are running away with the league, I thought that we were just going to play a Glasgow City side that had given up. You know, they're second. Celtic can't really catch them now, and in second, so they're guaranteed Champions League next season anyway. So it's like, well, they've not got anything to play for. They can't get a 15th league title in a row. They can't do any worse than second. They're guaranteed to be in the Champions League qualifier. So I thought they're just no, that's them. They're just off on their jollies and they're only going to win the games they need to win. And I think you could see that. And that's so I was confident. But then again, I was like, well, it's Glasgow City. The game's always tight. And I was thinking, we'll get a draw. And I was really close as well when I said 2-2. Because obviously it was 2-1 to Glasgow City. So
Yeah,
obviously,
that's right.
obviously Calvin, sort of just briefly reaction to the lineup. Obviously, Coyle was on the bench. Do you think that's maybe her having to recover from not playing because she went out to America? And also, I've got to say, I called this again. I think I'm going to start telling people's thoughts. I'm going to start telling folk lottery numbers. I said Penman would start, and she did.
Yeah,
I knew she was deserving of it for me. She was deserving of it after her performance against Cardiff. I think from what I've seen on the highlights on our good friends recast. So remember, you can get all your Hibs women highlights and full games on recast, which is great to see recast partnering up with the women's game. But yeah, I think watching highlights on recast, I was like, Penman had another really good game again. You can see why we've signed her. So I think seriously, she's a bit of a pretender right now, but I think she could dethrone Amy Muir as our starting fullback. Starting right back, definitely. I think she's capable of it. Now that Amy Muir's away injured, then I think Jenner's really sort of stepping up to the plate. But anyway, Calvin, your brief reaction to the lineup.
I didn't really have a reaction, mate, because I didn't see it because I was at the men's game, and I think the timing of the game started while I was at the men's game. I think they kicked off at 1. Am I right? So I never seen the lineup of that. I wasn't on my phone. I was watching the match. Unfortunately, I didn't see anything, mate. What's your thoughts then?
So yeah, I thought briefly. I think it was as good. It was a good team. It was a strong team. Strongest team we possibly could have put out. And like I said, I was happy to see Jenna getting the chance again because she is a good player. So, you know, I'll sort of rattle through the rest of it because obviously you were at the men's game. So, and I did manage to get wee bits of the game on my phone when I was in the car through with Rachel. So we obviously go 1-0 up. Great goal from Cavan. I've got to say, Cavan, or as we call here on the podcast, the Ginger Ronaldinho.
You call her that, mate.
No. Come on, Calvin. You're getting dragged into this or not. No, so the Ginger Ronaldinho, she is excellent. She only scores screamers, Kavanagh.
Yeah, do you know what? See, when I seen that goal, I thought, well, Jack's right. She only scores bangers because that was a fantastic goal, by the way.
It was a brilliant.
We're all raving about Doyle Hayes' goals, but it was bloody good.
It was an excellent goal from Cav. Then unfortunately, we were just unlucky. Glasgow City got those 2 goals, and then that was it. I think you've got to be mentioned. Chia scored their goal, their equaliser. I think it was a good goal. I don't think any defence, any keeper could have stopped that, to be honest. But talking about defence, Siobhan Hunter has obviously been listening to Rocky. Absolutely beluttered a ball out of Petershill Park. I think that's probably broken a window on the high flats in Glasgow somewhere. I thought that's when see those big tower blocks you get in Glasgow. That ball's probably pelted a 20th floor window or something. But I think Shivs was actually better than Rocky. A lot of people are saying who did it better. I definitely think Siobhan's was better than Rocky. The amount of power on that was outstanding. But I think I can't fault us in that game at all. We played really well. We put in a solid performance. In the end, Glasgow City just got the rub of the green and got a bit of luck on their side. So, to be honest, you know, it's just one of those ones where you've got to go down and dwell on it, move on. And it is upsetting for me because we deserve more out of those games. It's another game where we deserved at least a point. So, yeah, I think I wouldn't say it was frustrating, but I would say it's disappointing because we put in so much effort into these games. At the end, the bigger teams always just seem to edge us out. The Glasgow 3 always just seem to edge us out in games. So it is disappointing, but it makes me confident that if we play them again in the Cup, I think we could beat them in that setting. Like I say, Glasgow City don't have much to play for this season apart from the Cup, so I think it would be a bit of a more pressurised match for them. This match, it doesn't matter. Literally, Glasgow City, they can't win the league, and they're guaranteed Champions League qualification just now anyway. So a league game doesn't matter them. A cup game will, and maybe they'd slip up because of the pressure
I get that.
in a cup game. And I think, fourth's the best we've got to do this season. That doesn't bother me, to be honest, because we're building a platform for consistency. You know, and that's what we need.
Yeah.
We need consistency. You know what I mean? We definitely need consistency. I think just building up that platform and then maybe try to build towards third. Or even, like I said, we've still got a shot at Champions League because if we win the Cup, depending on what UEFA sort of says about it, because the Women's Champions League doesn't work like the Men's Champions League, where it's set in stone, the qualification. The Women's Champions League, it changes every year, what qualifies you for what and everything.
Right.
So, I think if we win the cup and we do get, that's still a route into the Champions League. And I'd love to see us play Champions League football, because I think we're more than capable of it. So, yeah, it's, for me, my sort of closing thoughts on Glasgow City are, it's disappointing, but you just got to sweep it to the side and move on. It's a game we deserved more out of, at least a point. We got unlucky. That's that. Just move on. There's plenty more to focus on this season, and we've got loads of positives. So it's just a case of picking ourselves up and getting back on the horse. That's it for me. Calvin, have you got any finishing thoughts?
No, just that. I think the performance showed quite a lot of heart. It would have been quite easier for us to lay down and not compete, because we're pretty safe in fourth place, and I think everybody knows that. I just thought it showed a lot of heart, so I was quite proud of the girls, especially to take the lead.
Yeah,
shows that we're still in there, mate.
Yeah, exactly, mate. 100% agree with you. I think that we showed a lot of heart. We really did, and we just deserved a point at least, like I was saying. So that concludes the Hibs Women review. 2-1 loss to Glasgow City. So now move on to the High B quiz. I'm the quiz master today. So as always, 6 questions, 3 on the men, 3 on the women. So Calvin, are you ready?
I'm ready, mate. I'm looking forward to it.
Right. So first question. This one is multiple choice. Who did Hibs beat 2-1 in the 1972 League Cup final to lift the trophy for the first time? Was it A, Rangers, B, Celtic, or C, Kilmarnock?
I think it was Rangers.
Is that your final answer?
Yes, I'm wrong, I'm not.
I can reveal you are wrong. It was Celtic. We beat 2-1 in the final to lift the League Cup.
I'm embarrassed playing this quiz, mate. I'm embarrassed.
Now, I've got to say, I sent it over to Charlie earlier since he wasn't coming on, and Charlie got 5 out of 6. So you're already.
What?
Yeah.
Aye, thank God for Google, eh?
Now,
he's not doing it in real time with the pressures and that.
So you're already, yeah. So the answer was Celtic to that question. Number 2, what Italian giants did Hibs beat 5-0 at Easter Road to seal progression 6-4 on aggregate in
Napoli.
The 1967 Fairs Cup second round?
Napoli.
You're correct. Well done, Calvin.
Grandad was at the game.
Beat Napoli 5-0 to seal progression, and one of Hibs' many famous European victories there, and overcame a 4-1 deficit to come back and win 5-0.
I've got the programme for it, mate. I've got the programme.
I think. Oh, I don't think I have that one, but you've got the
programme.
programme.
My dad had. It's in the bloody loft. I'll never see that.
Oh, but yeah, so that was really good. And you consider 4-1 down coming into the game and 1-5-0 at Easter Road to seal progression 6-4 on aggregate. So you're currently 1 point. So number 3 now. You should get this one. I've given you a wee easy one here. What Fife-based championship club did we sign Kevin Nisbet from?
Dunfermline.
Correct. Well done. So we signed Kevin Nisbet from Dunfermline.
The pressure's rising.
The Pars, because after he had a really good season with him, I think he was like absolutely outstanding for Dunfermline that season. You remember in the championship?
My next door neighbour's a Dunfermline fan. He quite often talks to me about him.
Yeah,
he's a good player. I think,
Dunfermline. I mean, they're night and day from what they are now. Back then, obviously, like they're making a big charge to the playoffs, and yeah, they had quite an impressive squad, Dunfermline. So you're currently sitting on 2 points out of a possible 3 heading into the women's questions. So start off with the first of the women's questions. How many times have Hibs women won the Scottish Women's Premier League?
Was there no multiple choice? No.
No.
I know they won the cups. Jesus Christ. They won the cups. Did I guess 4 last time? And I said they won the cups 4 times. I'm going to say 3.
Well done. What a guess, Calvin. What a guess. You're correct. Hibs women have won the Scottish Women's Premier League 3 times.
Yes, I knew it wasn't that high. I knew it wasn't as high. I know that because I used to think it was super high, but then I checked it out not too long ago, and for some reason I had 4 in my head, but I think I guessed that before and got it wrong.
Yeah.
So there you
So
go.
the same amount of times as the men as well, I think, with the league. Or maybe the men have won it 4 times. But anyway,
Men have won it 4 times.
4 times. There we go.
That's where the 4 comes from, right?
I was forgetting the 1902 league, but we'd won it 3 times in the 50s. So the men.
Right.
So there we go. Moving on to question 5. I'd say this is the hardest out of the women's questions, but it is multiple choice. So, what Georgian side did Hibs women beat to qualify for the Champions League in 2019? Was it A, Dinamo Tbilisi, B, Dinamo Batumi, or C, FC Tbilisi Nike?
Uh, 2017, 2018,
2019, mate.
2019.
So, do you want the options again?
It's not aye, but it's not like it's going to help.
So, Dinamo Tbilisi, Dinamo Batumi, or FC Tbilisi Nike?
Probably say Nike because it's easiest to say.
You know what? You are a lucky, lucky boy. You're correct. You are correct. See, Tbilisi Nike, you are correct. And just because that was the easiest.
That's the one that catches your ear. So aye, Tbilisi Nike. Didn't he ask me the score like?
So we beat them. So it was basically the Women's Champions League qualifications like a group. So you go out.
Right.
One of the teams is picked to host it. So you'll go to the country that team's from. So we went out and it was played in Slovenia, and we won all 3 games, and we beat Tbilisi Nike 3-2, and that was a game that sealed our progression. So we won all 3 games in the qualification group, but it was the one against Tbilisi that officially qualified us into the Champions League, and then we got beat by Slavia Prague in the first round.
Right, I remember that one. Aye.
So you're doing quite well. That's your 3 right, 4 right, or is it 3 or 4?
I mean, I've got 1 wrong so far, which is the first gen.
Yeah, so it's 4. Yeah, 5. You've got 5 right. No, 4. 4.
Right.
4. Right.
Aye, right, got you.
I'm away with the fairies today. Anyway, Christ. Anyway, number 6. Last question. Let's see if you can match Charlie. I've got to say though, that's the question that Charlie got wrong. What Georgian
was
said.
It right?
I thought it was Dinamo Tbilisi. So you're sort of doing better, Charlie, right? So see if you can match Charlie. What club did Hibs women sign star fullback Amy Muir from in 2019?
Rangers.
Correct. You are correct, Calvin.
I know that one because I remember she stood in one of the matches because she was really good. And you told me that. So I learned from the best. Yeah.
You're learning from the best, exactly. So I can reveal.
Came from Celtic, eh? Calvin came from Celtic, so I remember that.
So I can reveal that, Calvin, you have scored 5 out of 6. So you matched Charlie, but Charlie got the hardest question wrong. Whilst you got, admittedly with a bit of luck, you got the hardest question right. So well done, Calvin.
Do a breaker from me. Ask me how many players were in the famous 5.
No, it was 8. No, anyway.
5. I take it. I win.
So anyway, that concludes that concludes today's podcast. Now we'll be very, very busy this week because we will be bringing you an interview with Hibs women's star young centre half Leah Eddy. She's coming on the podcast on Wednesday night, so keep your eyes peeled for that, and we'll be putting a tweet out later on to ask you if you have any questions for Leah. So please do get your questions for Leah in. It's going to be a pretty good interview, I think. I'm looking forward to speaking to Leah about her career, also getting called up to the Scotland squad as well. And then we'll have a review of the Dundee game as well as previewing the weekend action as well on Thursday, our usual Thursday podcast. Until next time, glory to the Hibs.